And here we were, from all corners of the world, in Jakarta, sitting down there and deciding how to design this whole new system. It was worth hundreds of millions of dollars at the time, and this was going back 30 years ago, a lot of money. I was very young, very arrogant, very full of myself and full of confidence about what I could do, what I couldn't do. Well, it was really a baptism of fire for me into the information world, because one of my jobs there was to collate and get all the information about the project together so that it could be used in, well, as corporate memory, as continuity, as context, as compliance, all the requirements that we still have now. And Madam here thought she knew everything about information management at the time, being a very young librarian, archivist, educator, and also, that was my background at the time. It was a mammoth task, and the fundamentals I learned about information management 30 years ago holds today. And believe you me, with all the new technology that we have around, believe you me, these fundamentals still hold. And that is context, compliance, continuity, and as a deference to the new technology world, contiguity. What it means here is you've got to manage the politics, and managing the politics and the reality of the politics, and what you have to work with, and then being pragmatic about it is the most important thing, really. So, in organisational, in council, what are your politics? You have your political arm, which is the council, you have the business arm, which is the organisation. It's quite porous there. How do we, as records people or information management people, call what you want to call yourselves? How do we manage that creative tension between the political arm organisation of the council and the business arm of the council? We're at the bottom usually sort of tucked away in the corner. Knowledge management, yes, we talk about it. But the way to get the attention of the people in there is to say, hang on a minute, folks, you've got politics here. How do you manage your politics? How do you manage your security? How do you manage your confidentiality? How do you manage your relationship, your governance, your corporate governance here? And what is the foundation of corporate governance in any organisation is your information governance. How you manage your information and how you trail, audit and track it is important. Now, I'm not talking about Twitter, I'm not talking about social media, I'm not talking about what's happening outside. I'm talking about what we have inside the organisation. That's important. What's important too is that idea of information governance, or rather the concept of information governance. It's not new, although the phrase is being bandied around quite a bit these days. It's not particularly new, but it's always been there. And wherever you have, whatever technology you have, wherever you go, there are certain basic fundamentals that you have to deal with. And I said context, compliance, continuity, and continuity. And what about the impact of external influences? I'm afraid our industry, our profession, I'm going to call it, doesn't help us very much, in the sense that the training that we get, the education we get in universities, are really out of sync with what we actually do on the ground. And I'm saying this without any apologies to whoever might be in this room and disagrees with me. That's not my idea of it. I'm not making any apologies for that. I've trained and taken lots and lots of students in universities on practicum in libraries, archives, and in records management. And they come in with very good ideas and very good theoretical knowledge. I don't dispute that. But they also come with some rather antiquated ideas of what they are about. And the reality, the politics and the reality, is quite different from what goes on in the august institutions of academia. Perhaps more academics should come down to the floor and see how we work. That might help. Sorry, again, no apologies for making that statement. I actually did lecture at university, and I found it rather interesting being in the academic community and actually being a practitioner, and going to the academic community and trying to say, look, this is the reality of what is out there. Pragmatism. Know your organisation. Know your organisation. We talk about knowledge. We talk about knowledge management, what exists outside. The previous two speakers made reference to what's inside. What do we carry as knowledge workers? What is our background? What specialities do we have? That's something we've got to think about. Someone like me, well, my first degree was politics. Again, apologies for that. But, throughout my life I've been an educator, a statistician. I worked in public policy, plenary cabinet in Western Australia. I've worked in Victoria, I've worked abroad. So that sum total of my knowledge is knowledge in itself that I can use in an organisation to leverage off and to get people to listen to me. So think globally, and I mean globally. What's around you all is you get out of your little area and look around you. Talk to people. Clarity of purpose, what is achievable? What can you really do with the few dollars you have? The limited resources you have, the political realities you have to work with. What can you do with that? Use language that resonates and use it. Somebody, I think Corey, he talks about HR people, talk about mobility and this and that and the other, and sort of using language to classify what they sort of want to get a message across. Don't do that. Use simple language. Go to your people around you and talk to them. Talk to them. Don't email, don't Twitter, don't do anything. Just go. Face-to-face conversation sometimes really goes a long way, and we forget about that. We really do. HR, darling HR, dear HR. I've been an HR manager for many years myself. I love HR. I hate HR. I love IT and I hate IT. They're my two strongest alliances, my two most important people, or rather groups of people in my life as a knowledge person. And yet, it is creative tension all the way. Fighting and arguing and trying to justify what we're trying to do. As an HR professional myself, I've been surreptitiously, over the last decade, how would you say, infiltrating, subverting the knowledge management field in some way or other. I like what Steve Bailey said about, we've got to change our thinking and maybe pass the crown to someone else. I don't agree with that. I don't go that far. I still think we talk about strategic alliances and collaboration. And ICT or IT and HR are two strongest allies, also two worst enemies in that sense. So for the last 10 years, I've been going into organizations saying, right, what do I have here? Records management, knowledge management, right. 10 years ago, very poorly skilled, not very well paid, bottom of the feeding pond. What are you going to encourage here to get people to come in to work with me? So I've been redesigning jobs, redesigning profiles, rethinking what competencies need to be used, using my HR skills, creating jobs that will encourage people to come into my world and work with me, particularly in IT. Which IT professional would want to come and work in IM records where they're going to be paid a miserable fee, a miserable salary? You don't do that. So you work from the back door. In the last 10 years, in the various organizations I've been, I've collected and trained and mentored IT people. I even had a biophysicist come and work with me because he was fascinated with the idea of using information and knowledge in the way I was talking about in that particular time. So you infiltrate, you work your organization, just like you work whatever is outside the organization. Learn to negotiate, learn to give way, learn to take a step back when you're losing, learn to live with failure, at the same time plan for success. And most important of all, again, build your strategic partnerships. Change management. The previous speakers did that brilliantly and very well, and I thank you very much for that, and that'll be segue to what I'm going to do now. There are 4 facets in change management: people, technology, process, structure, and of course add culture and politics. They are the most difficult things to deal with, culture and politics. You can have all the ducks in the row, and then you come to the culture of the organization. And culture that drives the politics and vice versa, whichever way it goes. And you find that that is the most difficult thing to do. It's like water that goes between your fingers. So any proposed change is going to upset status quo. Again, you've got to go. When things push back, I've learned very early in my very through experience, when people push, I just take a step back, because then I sort of feel, right, it gives me a bit of space to think. I don't fight back unnecessarily. It's not necessary to bang your head against a stone wall. You think back, hang back, think about what you're doing, refocus what you're doing, and go forward again. And use language. It was very it's funny because when I was in Indonesia, I was asked to combine, or rather collate, and organise the information on this big project, because I happened to be, don't laugh, rather well spoken, because they could understand me, because my English was good. Well, if that's the case, then that's jolly good, we'll do that. But use language that resonates with people. Don't use your professional language. Use simple language. Skills. So what are the skills that we need for this new or moving world that we live in? Again, cross-disciplinary alliances. Find out where the alliances are. What are the gatekeepers in the organisation? Power brokers, political. The gatekeepers sometimes might be the administrative staff sitting very low-level jobs, but they're gatekeepers because they're the ones that deal with information that goes in and out. Make friends with them. Make friends across the organization. People talk about getting the executive on board. Get the small people on board because they're the ones that are actually, in fact, can make things work. I have a very good friend of mine who's a test pilot for Trident. And George said to me, he said, one of the things that really they found out with the test, when testing planes, was the fact of the bleeding bolt syndrome that they had. That a plane could come down because the bolts that held the plane together were not, could suffer from fatigue, mental fatigue, or whatever it was at the time. And I'm thinking, yeah, we are the bleeding boats of bloody aircraft, aren't we? I mean, if we suffer from fatigue, if we're not there and fixed properly to a mechanism, we can bring that mechanism down. So think about it, folks, and how important you are from that point. So small people count a great deal. Again, present ideas, not processes. How many times have I walked into places in many organizations and I've sat down with information people or HR people or whatever it is, and I'll say, what do you do here? And give me a whole string of processes. What do you do? Right. What are the ideas? Question. I don't want to know what you do or how you do it. I want to know why you do it. Now that question why has come up a few times in this conference. Why do we do things? Why are we in the information space? Why are we records managers? And people, records management has been much, not abused so much as pushed around, or, you know, we want to call ourselves information management because it's more sexy, more glamorous. Records management is a bit passé. You've got value there. Learn to know the value of what you do. And that is why, ask yourself why you're doing things, not what you do.